in the Westtown Shopping Center on West 3rd Street in Dayton. Another example of how Clerk Mike Foley is bringing the courthouse to you.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Ugh.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Did you know you can stop the spread of STIs by using Condom Sense? Yes, Condom Sense is when you correctly use latex condoms every time. They are highly effective in reducing the transmission of sexually transmitted diseases. To learn more about using condoms, how to get free condoms, and how to get tested for STIs, call Public Health Dayton and Montgomery County at 937-225-5700. Let's use Condom Sense and stop the spread of STIs.
The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410. That's the number that you can call or text to jump in on the conversation. Again, I'm Justin Kinner. We welcome you back here on a Friday. Yesterday's show, apologize about that. Was very much so under the weather yesterday, so we got the show started, but the show didn't go on very long. Was very lightheaded, just got the sweats really bad and just was not doing well at all, but I got that resolved. Glad to be back nonetheless, but thank you for those who did reach out. Wasn't my intention for that, but I appreciate those who did reach out. Thank you very much. But again, I'm Justin Kinner with you here. Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. One more time, 937-518-1410. So Jason Fitz, who joins us every Thursday, we'll have our conversation with Jason Fitz coming up here around the corner. He's with Yahoo. He's with Yahoo Sports. We'll talk about the Browns hiring of Todd Monken and kind of the pecking order of the AFC North. How does, now, you had a division that was the longest tenured division with head coaches. You had Mike Tomlin, who was there for 19 years. You had Harbaugh, who was with the Ravens for 18 years. And I joked yesterday that, you had Kevin Stefanski, who was only in Cleveland for 6 years, but in Browns years or in dog years, that's like 26 years. I mean, that's a long time. So that was, and then Zach Taylor's been there for a minute. So that was the longest tenured division head coaching wise in football. And now a year later, here we are, 3 new coaches in the division, and now what do you make of it? The thing that's interesting about the AFC North is that more so than any other division, or at least it was, is all the teams took on the persona of their head coach. Like the Steelers and Mike Tomlin went hand in hand. Harbaugh and the Ravens went hand in hand. Not really Stefanski in Cleveland or Zach Taylor and the Bengals, but like you had a lot of teams who just had an identity. You know who they were. You know Cleveland's bad. The Steelers are the Steelers. The Ravens are the Ravens. Are they still going to have that mystique? I think of teams who, when they lose their head coach, how much that really rattles them. The only team I could think of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but can you think of a great team that lost their legendary coach and continued being great? There's only one team I could think of right now, and that's college and the pros. And I'm probably missing an obvious one, and when you put it in the chat, I'll be like, oh, yeah, dang it, my bad. I got that wrong. I would say Duke basketball. Duke basketball is the only one that I could think of that I think – loses a legendary coach and still remains as dominant as ever. And I say that because, North Carolina is interesting too. They lost Roy Williams. They've actually been to a Final Four since Roy Williams left, which is interesting enough. But no, I can't think of one. When you lose a coach, especially those long tenured coaches like that's a blow to any franchise. And that's why I don't know what to make of the Steelers and Mike McCarthy. I don't know what to make of Jesse Minter in Baltimore. Baltimore, all they've done is win. They won with Joe Flacco in the Harbaugh era, and they went right into winning with Lamar Jackson and winning at a high level. They won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. They've been consistently dominant with Lamar Jackson. They haven't, even gotten to that Super Bowl game yet, but I mean, like they're in a very good place. They have a superstar quarterback. They check all the boxes. And then you have Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh. And if Pittsburgh ends up taking a step back this year, I need to see what these teams do in the offseason with roster management. Because right now, I think it's going to be very unfair. I feel bad for Mike McCarthy. I'm a Mike McCarthy guy. I liked him in Dallas. All right, I liked him in Green Bay. I think that he's probably one of the most disrespected coaches in the NFL because when you look at his resume is better than Mike Tomlin's. His resume is better than John Harbaugh's, or I should say as good, if not better. I think it's pretty dang close to being better. He has had more consistent success in the playoffs than Harbaugh and, of course, Mike Tomlin. I mean, Harbaugh's had a reputation of getting to the playoffs with Lamar Jackson and getting ousted quickly. The Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. So it's just one of those where you look at Mike McCarthy, he has more playoff wins than those two. Like his resume is borderline better. Is he a better coach than them? I don't think anyone's going to give, but that's the wild thing about it. Mike McCarthy is as good resume-wise, if not better, than John Harbaugh and Mike McCarthy, but yet we look at the Steelers as taking a major step back because they have Mike McCarthy and no longer Mike Tomlin. We're going to find out how much of the success of the Steelers was the Steelers and how much of it was because of Mike. And to be fair, I think it goes hand in hand. You have to have, you're going to have success places because of how well the organization is. And I think you're going to see that. So I'm not taking it all away from Mike Tomlin, but this idea that Mike McCarthy can't go in there and have success is just crazy, especially when you think about what today's NFL requires. You have to be a really good offensive mind and you have to be able to develop quarterbacks. That's what the NFL is today. It's all about offense. It's all about quarterbacks. Mike McCarthy does that better than John Harbaugh, and he sure as hell does it better than Mike Tomlin. So I'm fascinated to see what Mike McCarthy does with Pittsburgh. I'm not a Pittsburgh guy, not a Steelers fan, but I'm a semi-Mike McCarthy fan, so I'm very intrigued to see what ultimately happens there. Jesse Minter in Baltimore. Baltimore right away, it's the Ravens. They have the mystique about them. I find them interesting. Look, they have Lamar Jackson. I think they're the best team in the division still. I still think they're the best team in the division. I think that the Ravens, when Lamar's healthy and they're healthy, I think they're going to attack this offseason very aggressively. They're going to rework. Like this is where I think Baltimore is going to be dangerous is because they're about to restructure Lamar's contract. They're going to free up tons of dollars and they're going to be hungry. You don't move on from John Harbaugh to take your foot off the gas approaching an offseason. I think you have a rookie head coach in Jesse Minter. You're going to free up a ton of money when you restructure the contract of Lamar Jackson. And look, when Lamar is healthy, that's a different team. So I think the Ravens are going to be just fine. I think that's going to be the best team in the division. I think Jesse Minter I think he's not going to have to change much. I'm curious to see who they get as OC. In fact, I haven't been following social media today or anything. I've been very busy in other meetings, but I don't believe that the Ravens have hired an OC. Am I wrong? Have they hired an offensive coordinator? You could correct me if I'm wrong in the chat or in the text. But I'll find that to be pretty fascinating when it's all said and done. But either way. All right, I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Sorry, I'm getting trolled on Twitter right now from Cincy fan Jake and others because they think I'm really fired up about the Pro Bowl. Some of you guys think that I am like super passionate about Shedeur being named a Pro Bowler. I'm not. I got a good kick out of it. I thought it was kind of funny. I was very passionate about this earlier in the week. I don't care that he made it, just like I wouldn't have cared if he didn't make it because I don't care about the Pro Bowl. I was poking fun at some of you guys because you guys were so angry about, Shedeur Sanders making the Pro Bowl that I'm like, well, how do you care so much about someone making a game that you don't care about? You clearly care about the Pro Bowl. Somehow this has turned into me caring about the Pro Bowl because I'm the ringleader of the show. I run the show. I'm throwing the topics out there. So yesterday on social media, T. Higgins was named a replacement. Okay, because all of you kept saying that Shedeur Sanders, that his Pro Bowl doesn't count because he was named a replacement. He was an alternate. So he's not really a Pro Bowler. But Bengals fans yesterday, oh my goodness, all of you. T. Higgins, congrats, T. T. Higgins, first Pro Bowl. Well, no. We got to play this by your rules. Your rules are Shedeur's not a Pro Bowler because He was named as a backup. He was named as an alternate. It took a lot of people having to drop out of the game before he ultimately got named to the game. Not my rules. I play by your rules. The customer's always right. You being the listener, right? Well, that's how I play this. So T. Higgins was named to the Pro Bowl yesterday as an alternate, as a backup. All right. So there were a lot of other receivers that deserved it more, that got the nod first. They can't play in it. They, not healthy. They opt out. T. Higgins accepts it. And now all of a sudden, you guys, you Bengals fans, are super proud of T. Higgins for getting an honor that you mocked not even 24 hours before. Come on. Come on. I'm playing by your rules. So T. Higgins being named to the Pro Bowl does not count. Does not count. So there you go. But either way, I got a good kick out of that. So on Twitter today, it was funny because about an hour ago, Joe Flacco has been named a Pro Bowler. Joe Flacco has been named a Pro Bowler for the AFC this year. So Cincy fan Jake on Twitter says, so Kinner, you're telling me Cleveland had not one, but two Pro Bowl quarterbacks this year and still sucked. That's a good one. I got nothing. Cleveland couldn't win games this year, and they started the season with two Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Cleveland started the season with Pro Bowl quarterback Joe Flacco and Pro Bowl quarterback, obviously, Shedeur Sanders, and they were horrendous. They were horrendous. I'm actually kind of mad that Joe Flacco has accepted this because I'm pretty sure Dillon Gabriel probably would have been next up on the list. But Joe Flacco was named. I mean, my goodness, that's just the Pro Bowl. It just keeps getting better and better. But Cincy fan Jake, I got to give you credit. That's a good troll job right there. You're telling me Cleveland had not one, but two Pro Bowl quarterbacks and still sucked. I'm with you. That's not a good look. Not a good look. But yeah, congrats, Joe Flacco, named to this horrible exhibition game. So there's that. Joe Flacco, man, good for him. Good for him. He needs some kind of notoriety. I think I'm very fascinated to see what Joe Flacco does this offseason because I actually think Joe Flacco is going to be a name that's going to be brought up in a lot of conversations for some of these teams who are in need of a quarterback. I would look at Miami. If Jalen Waddle, and I don't think Tyreek Hill, I don't know the status of him, but that injury seemed pretty severe. I'm assuming he's out. But they have some good pass catchers. I wouldn't be surprised. Look out for him for Miami. Could he go there? I think he's going to want to go somewhere, though, that he's going to get to play, that he's going to get to start and compete to win games. So I would keep an eye out for Miami. Another team I'd keep an eye out for is Pittsburgh. I think that Joe Flacco, and this sounds crazy, at their ages right now, Aaron Rodgers had the better career, or did he? That's another – did he? Yeah, he did. He had 4 MVPs. Yes, he did. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco. You gravitate towards the name Aaron Rodgers. But if I'm Mike McCarthy, I know you had you've coached Aaron Rodgers, you won a Super Bowl with him before. But I think the Steelers would be much better off with Joe Flacco than Aaron Rodgers. I actually think Joe Flacco should close out his tour of the AFC North. And I think he would probably have the most success that he has had in Pittsburgh when you think of some of the weapons that they have there. I think they're more balanced than Cleveland. They're definitely more balanced than Cincinnati. So Pittsburgh would be an interesting spot for Joe Flacco. I think Miami in the AFC East makes sense. I like Pittsburgh for Joe Flacco in the AFC North. And he's already made a stop with the Colts. So I don't know if the Colts would go back there. They're probably going to get Daniel Jones back. But from Tennessee to Jacksonville to the Texans, they're fine there. And if you're the Raiders, you're going to draft Mendoza. You're set. Denver, everyone's set there. So I think that there's 2 teams in the AFC that make sense for Joe Flacco. Miami out of the East, and I would say, honestly, Pittsburgh for him to close out his AFC North tour. In the NFC, I'm going up and down this list. If you're the Minnesota Vikings, why not? You have Justin Jefferson. All right. You look at the receivers that they have there and the weapons that they have there. I think that would make a lot of sense. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410. You could text into the show. We'll be right back.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding excuses to not do your taxes? Unsure where to start? Sounds like you may be suffering from FOMO, the fear of messing up. The cure? filing your federal and state taxes for free using TurboTax on Credit Karma. All you have to do is start and finish filing on your own in the Credit Karma app by February 28th. Just keep in mind, this offer is available only if you didn't file with TurboTax last year. It's time to break free from your fear of messing up. Start filing for free today in the Credit Karma app.
For decades, people have been asking, what's the famous recipe behind Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken? And we've decided we're finally going to tell you. Starting with the 8-piece family meal and its 8 pieces of crispy, delicious bone-in chicken, 4 fluffy, buttery biscuits, and 2 large sides. Oh, wait, I'm just getting word from our lawyers that I can't actually tell you any of that. So, better pick up an 8-piece family meal and figure it out for yourself. Good luck. The 8-piece family meal, only at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, famous for a reason.
The future depends on teachers who are reinventing the classroom and starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices,
regulars in the top 25, they get that number in front of their name, and just people.
Southern a few years ago.
Jay Leno is going to be in Dayton next Tuesday, and if you want a chance to win tickets, happened in the middle of the day. The Browns finally made a decision. House or Udinsky or whatever his name was from higher based on the reaction from the fan base. Todd Monken, now the head coach, of course, for the Cleveland Browns, and now it's just sit back and wait to see what he does with this coaching staff. And will Jim Schwartz be a part of it? We've spent a lot of time on. All right, it's 3:38 here in the Miami Valley. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. I was not feeling the best yesterday, so we didn't get through the whole show yesterday, but had a chance to catch up with Jason Fitz from Yahoo Sports. We talked about the Browns hiring of Todd Monken. We talked, of course, about the rankings of the coaches in the AFC North. Todd Monken, is he the worst coach in the AFC North? Does Zach Taylor just automatically get shot up to the top of the list? Is Zach Taylor the best coach in the AFC North, or does he still remain at the bottom? I mean, there's a lot to discuss. So if you missed that, we have that coming up for you here around the corner. The Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll have our conversation with Jason Fitz when we come back.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients, participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I think Ravens fans were a little surprised by Jesse Minter.
Sure, we can help with that.
Ah, nice. Hey, I just entered this online contest for coolest bike in the world.
You think maybe you can vote for me?
Actually, we just do insurance, not popularity contests.
Yeah, I know. But what's your email? I'll just send you the link real quick. You can vote like 100 times a day. They'll never know.
To be clear, Progressive has your back for insurance only. So get a quote and see if you can save.
So what I'm hearing is there's a little bit of wiggle room.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410, the number to call or text to jump in on the conversation. Jay Leno is going to be in Dayton next Tuesday, and if you want a chance to win tickets to see Jay Leno at Hobart Arena, of course, all you have to do is text funny to 937-518-1410 and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Jay Leno in Dayton next week. For more information on that, head to wingam.com. All right. So yesterday, it happened in the middle of the day. The Browns finally made a decision on their head coach, and it was not Jim Schwartz. It was not Nick Schillhouse, or however you pronounce his name. It was not Udinsky or whatever his name was from the Jaguars. The bottom line is, it was a very underwhelming hire based on the reaction from the fan base. Todd Monken, now the head coach, of course, for the Cleveland Browns. And now it's just sit back and wait to see what he does with this coaching staff. And will Jim Schwartz be a part of it? We've spent a lot of time on that. But to jump on that and more AFC talk, Super Bowl 60 talk, of course, and college football, Buckeyes, and more, Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports, hanging out with us. Jason, happy Thursday. Welcome.
Hey, brother. How are you? It's a good week, right? Like, it feels weird. No football this weekend. A week from now, it'll feel really weird after we get through or 2 weeks from now after we get through the Super Bowl. But yeah, we'll enjoy what we have left, right? Come on.
No football. I mean, what are you talking about? My team, I don't know about your team, but my team has a Pro Bowl quarterback. Don't be jealous.
My bad. I forgot. Shador, Pro Bowler. My bad. Yes. How could I forget? Woo!
I look at the Pro Bowl, it cracks me up because nobody cares about it, right? Everyone hates it, but you only care about it if a guy you like doesn't make it, or if a guy you hate does make it. And that's what we saw with the Shador thing. Even I know that's absolutely ridiculous. But the Pro Bowl, what do you do with it? I mean, it's just as useless as the NBA All-Star game and all the other All-Star games that just seem to be depreciating with interest as the years go on.
Yeah, but there's nothing you can really do to fix it. I'll be the old man in the room for a minute. Part of the reason the NBA All-Star game used to matter was we didn't have NBA League Pass. So in the 90s, you didn't get to see Michael and Larry and Magic all on the court at the same time very often. In fact, you didn't get to see most of those people if you didn't live in market more than a couple of times a year. So you flocked to the All-Star game because it was your one chance to see the best of the best take each other on. Now, literally, if you have all of the streaming services, every single night you can choose to watch the Sacramento Kings if you want to. Come on now. So it just makes All-Star games impossible. The Pro Bowl can never really matter because between NFL Sunday Ticket and Red Zone, we see all these guys all the time. If anything, we have fatigue from half of these guys by the time we hit the end of the season. So it's impossible to make it worthwhile. It's just a reminder that every time somebody says, well, he made the Pro Bowl 8 times when they start talking about things like Hall of Fame, just leave that part out of the conversation from now on.
Yeah, but that definitely had people talk. The Browns have been talked about a lot this week because of the Shador thing, of course. He's the most am I wrong in saying is he the most polarizing quarterback in the NFL since Tebow? No, has there been anyone in between there? I can't think of one.
You're 1,000% right. And look no further than what happened in college football without him. How many people right now have any idea that Colorado won 3 games last year? I mean, nobody, right? So a year ago it was, should Shador and Dion be together with the same team, coach, quarterback combo? And now all of a sudden we're sitting around saying, wait, is Dion actually any good as a college football coach? He had a 5-star top recruit come in at a quarterback that barely played and didn't play well when he did play, and Colorado fell apart, right? Everywhere Shador goes, for whatever reason, come eyeballs. But this is what I would say to everybody that, has a hot take on Shador. If the actual NFL community, the world, coaches in the NFL, if they believed that Shador was a valid quality, high quality starting quarterback in the NFL, people would have been tripping over themselves for that job. If we're just being honest for a second, if you're a random coach and you look at that defense with that level of talent, and you look at the division, which I think is very winnable, and you look at the expectations, and you factor all these things together, you look around. If you believe that Shador is, in your mind, a top 8 or 10 talent in the NFL that was throttled down because the NFL wanted to teach him a lesson, All right, well, that lesson's gone now. If you're a coach that actually looked around and thought that Shador was a starting quarterback that you could win a bunch of games with, Cleveland looks like a pretty good job. Part of the reason it wasn't a really good job is because they don't have a clear path to a quarterback, and they don't have an easy answer to that moving forward. So I think, honestly, the fact that it took so long and then the controversial hire that it was is just as much a statement about how the NFL truly views Shador as it is how the NFL views that job.
Yeah, again, Todd Monken named the coach yesterday, and look, super underwhelming. I've done the Homer fan thing where I go home and, complain about it. And then, you read a bunch of positive stuff that tries to make you feel better about it. So there you go. Look, the biggest takeaway it seems to be about this is the fact that, man, the Browns, they screwed it up because Jim Schwartz, he's gone. I believe that because the corner that they backed themselves into, it was one of those where, okay, if we name Jim Schwartz, because I was on that camp of, you might as well just name him the head coach. But the problem with that is you name Jim Schwartz the head coach, there's not an offensive coordinator out there that's going to sign up to come take that job. I think it's a lot simpler to make Todd Monken the head coach, and I think there's going to be a lot of really good defensive coordinators out there that are going to want to link up with that defense. I feel like that's the path that they had to go down. I don't think this was the path that they had envisioned from the beginning, but I feel like they had to make the best decision based on the circumstances that they laid out, unfortunately. I just think that's what it comes down to. They want Jim Schwartz, but at the same time, they could easily replace him as a DC. I don't think there's a lot of options out there of anyone that's going to want to come be the OC for all the reasons you just said with all the unknown when it comes to that QB room.
Yeah, look, I think I felt better about the Monken hire after I found out that Schwartz doesn't want to come back. And it's not because I think Schwartz is bad. Like, I think he's a great defensive coordinator. But put yourself in that locker room for a minute. You're creating day one. You're creating an us versus them defense versus offense. You're creating a Myles Garrett is looking around saying, no. Like, they kept my guy. Like, I don't need to worry about you. Like, I don't give a damn what you have to say. They create a funnel where one half of the ball responds to Schwartz, who, then that half of the ball is going to turn around and say, well, this is really our guy. This guy we know. And then the other half has to buy into Monken. I think the most important thing, and the thing that bad organizations get so wrong all the time, is you need a very clear Christmas tree. You need an angel at the top of the Christmas tree. That is your head coach or your GM, whatever it is. And everything trickles down the right way from that. Even if you believe that Schwartz might have been somebody that Monken liked, my question is, how does Monken win over and change the locker room when even the coaches have been in that process before? So I think they had to make a break from Schwartz, weirdly, even though I think he's a very good defensive coordinator. This is long-term best for any shot at Todd Monken being a successful coach with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, because any struggles, be right away. You feel that pressure of, they're just going to fire me and just move him over. I mean, it's just all those outside variables you can't account for. Your team, the Raiders and the Cardinals, still looking for a head coach. Are guys that they're looking at currently coaching or preparing for a Super Bowl? What's the latest on your team, the Raiders, another team looking for a head coach?
Yeah, all speculation right now is that the Raiders are going to talk to Clint Kubiak, the Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator. Reports have been Saturday. Arizona is going to do the same this weekend. They're going to try and talk to Clint Kubiak. What I've heard consistently on Clint is that nobody questions his intelligence, his brilliance with an offensive game plan. He's shown that particularly through the playoffs. He's got Seattle cooking. He's just not the type of guy that walks in the locker room and everybody gravitates to him. Like, even in interviews, he's sort of a quieter personality. So I think part of what's holding him back right now, even through his first interviews, is that he's not a guy with that it factor when he walks in the door. And a lot of owners and GMs look for that it factor. I've had somebody I think is pretty well plugged in Vegas say to me, there were concerns after the first interview that could he walk into a locker room with a big personality like Max Crosby and actually own and control that locker room? That may not be who he is as a person. So I think what you see are the last couple of jobs, they're doing their due diligence. They're going to make sure they give every look to every possible candidate. He deserves a second interview. I think he's the front runner for the Raiders job, but I would not be surprised at all if Davis Webb, the offensive coordinator quarterbacks coach from Denver, that may become the offensive coordinator in Denver, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him end up the Raiders coach.
Who do you want?
I don't know. The honest answer to that is that I don't think any of us know. I went back when I worked at ESPN. I looked at the time, ESPN.com's rankings of the head coaches for like a 10-year period, because they do it every year. And the number of times in that 10-year period, they never once got the best of the coaches right. Not once. And the number of times that they ranked the guy the lowest, Dan Campbell, the year that Doug Peterson was in a Super Bowl window, he had been ranked the lowest of all of the hires that year when he was hired by Philly. So, like, just the number of times we get it wrong, I just don't. I think the honest answer is none of us knew Dan Campbell was going to be great. We spent months making fun of Lee and Cohen because of the way that all worked out at the introductory press conference. We don't know. I would like an offensive mind because I don't want Fernando Mendoza, presuming he's the first overall pick, to learn a new offense every year for the first 3 or 4 years. But outside of an offensive mind, I really don't care who it is.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports with this again. 10 openings. 8 are now filled. The Cardinals, the Raiders, the remaining 2 teams looking to fill their head coaching vacancies. But the AFC North, all but 1 seat opened up. Zach Taylor was, I think I saw Zach Taylor and Andy Reid are the only 2 coaches remaining in the AFC from the last 3 or 4 years or something. Like it all got blown up. But the Steelers, they go out and they get, Mike McCarthy, Jesse Minter goes to the Ravens. And then, of course, the Browns get the former OC from the Ravens and Todd Monken. Who, if you look at the 3 teams that had to find a new coach, who did the best job of the 3? Did the Steelers knock it out of the park? Did they get it right? Do you like the Mike McCarthy hire in Pittsburgh?
It's funny that you asked that because as you mentioned that you had to go home and do the fan negotiating, look across the board at the openings and ask yourself how many fans have actually liked the hire. I think Ravens fans were a little surprised by Jesse Minter. We know Steelers fans absolutely hated the hire of Mike McCarthy. Bills fans hated the hire of Joe Brady. I don't think Browns fans are particularly happy with the hire that they have. Other than maybe the Titans, I'm not sure how many people right now are sitting here running victory laps around, their head coaching hire. McCarthy is... Here's the thing. If McCarthy's going to go in and take over and just be Mike McCarthy with no Aaron Rodgers, then I'd like to see where it goes. If they bring back Aaron Rodgers, then the Steelers might be the stupidest organization in the NFL right now. And I say that because all you're going to do is win a handful of games. And I went in and I looked at Tankathon. I'll pull it up real quick in front of me. This year, teams that will likely be picking ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year if they have Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback would be, the Jets, Arizona, Tennessee, we'll see where they are on Cam Ward. Cleveland, probably. Miami, probably. Atlanta, probably. Minnesota, let's see where they are on JJ. I've just listed 7 teams that will likely pick before the Steelers do if they have Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. They won't lose enough games. 7 teams that all need a quarterback. So you're 8th in line for next year's quarterback class, and everybody says, we'll just get the assets and trade up. You cannot guarantee that you can outsuck the rest of the NFL. So if your plan is to suck, remember, there were 4 teams this year that won 3 games, and one of them is picking 4th. So even if we think next year could be as good as the quarterback class was a few years ago, what did we see? The Patriots would not listen to any offers for Drake May. The Washington Commanders would not listen to any offers for Jaden Daniels. You could end up in a situation where by being the 4th worst team in the NFL, you have no shot at an elite quarterback. That's crazy to say. That's where we could be next year. So I think if Pittsburgh does McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, then what they've done is they've fired Tomlin to recreate Tomlin. And that to me is absolutely asinine. So I didn't love the hire for that reason. If McCarthy is coming in and leading a long-term reset, maybe I feel a little bit better, but I just think Pittsburgh's in a lot of trouble. It's going to take a few years to dig out of the hole that roster has put them in.
If you had to rank the coaches in the AFC North, who's again, 3 of the 4 seats are new. Who has the best coach in the AFC North, and who would you put in the last place seat, if you will, the worst coach in the North?
Well, look, I've got 2 of them that are sort of unproven, right? So Monken, unproven, Jesse Minter, unproven. So we can as head coaches. So I've seen enough tape on Zach Taylor. So because I've seen enough bad from Zach Taylor's defense, I don't know why I think that's going to get any better. His offense is fine, but he's not an offensive coordinator. You're asking about a head coach. So I put Zach Taylor at the bottom because we've seen the bad. So we know what that is. When you start talking about Monken versus Jesse Minter, I don't love a defensive coach in Baltimore, and I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like. I'm presuming they're going to hire Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator. That will change a lot how I feel. That's who Lamar has said he wants. I will put Jesse Minter. No, I'll put Todd Monken third. Todd Monken third. No proof of concept that he can be a head coach. We know. Let's see what that offense looks like when he doesn't have those weapons to play with, which means I'm then forced to put Jesse Minter second and Mike McCarthy first. Mike McCarthy's got the resume. If we just blind resume Mike McCarthy, boy, Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin blind resume about the same. Here's one thing I'd remind you. Harbaugh's blind resume kills both of them. So, it's funny. This went from being one of the toughest divisions to win in the entire NFL, I think, to being one of the easiest for the next few years.
Which is crazy. And it's that's why we talk so much about the urgency from the Bengals front office and how they have to attack this offseason. It's not just about the Bills taking a step back in the Chiefs, and it's vulnerable. But forget the conference; it's the division. You could win this division. Now, I think this division's for the taking for anybody. The Cleveland has the biggest uphill battle, of course, but at the same time, we've seen. Look, they're a 5-win team. The Patriots were a 4-win team a year ago. Now they have their quarterback set, so that definitely makes it easier. But they're in the Super Bowl as we currently sit here right now. So who knows? Let me ask you last thing on Cleveland, and we could bounce out of there and focus on the Super Bowl, but. We've seen quarterbacks who have they look like they don't have it anymore. And then you see Baker a couple of years later, he blossoms. Sam Darnold. I mean, my goodness, I never would have thought that he'd be leading the Seahawks to the Super Bowl. And yet here we are. Is there any life left in the Deshaun Watson tank? Is there any life? It's all about Shador, and that's what everyone keeps thinking. But is there a Todd Monken approach that's like, you know what? I've done all this with Lamar. There might be something there. Is there any life left in that tank for Deshaun Watson as far as getting the Browns out of the purgatory that they've been in? Some of the stuff that he's caused himself.
Yeah, look, 100%. I think the real honest answer for the quarterback position for the Browns this year is to go in and let them compete. Let Deshaun and Shador compete and know that you probably don't have your long-term answer in the building, but you might, and see where it goes. And if you don't, then again, you're going to try and be one of those teams that outsucks the following year. And I get that that's a difficult answer nobody wants, but there isn't a better solution right now. For Todd Monken, you're talking about an offensive coordinator. When he was at Georgia, man, the job he did, especially with quick read and recognition, get the ball out of the quarterback's hands, a lot of tight end work, a lot of mid-range route work with Lab McConkey at the time. Like, when he has horses on the offensive side of the ball, he knows what to do with them. And, frankly, yeah, we can talk a lot about the fact that Monken didn't run the ball enough when he was the offensive coordinator with the Ravens. He got too cute, but he also had a 2-time, should have been 3-time MVP quarterback. So, like, I get it. They were like, why are you not feeding Derrick Henry? But also I turn around and say, how can we possibly be talking about a 2-time, could have been 3-time MVP quarterback like he's a liability? So I do think Todd Monken is a very good offensive coordinator. Part of the reason the Giants' plans got disrupted is they wanted him as their OC. I believe he's going to be able to make chicken salad out of this offense, if you know what I mean. So I think there's a real opportunity for that. Why not see what he can get with time on task with Shador and Deshaun and let him play it out and see what happens in this process? Is it likely that Deshaun Watson suddenly figures it out and is the old Deshaun? I don't think so, but I'd at least give it a shot.
You could say chicken shit. I'll block it out. We could. Yeah. I just wanted to say it. I haven't cussed on the air in a while. So there you go. Yeah. But no, I'm with you as far as that goes. Quarterbacks that are available through free agency, Malik Willis, and you look at the job last year that Daniel Jones did with the Colts. Where do you see those two ending up? And I think because of this Sam Darnold run right now, I think it makes those two even more interesting for teams who I think, I've always been one of those like, hey, if it doesn't work out with your first team, there's no proof of concept that you just all of a sudden come to life somewhere else, because up until Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, you just didn't see that. Now it's becoming a little bit more regular of a thing. And I'm very fascinated to see just how aggressive teams are going to be with Malik Willis and with Daniel Jones. How do you see the market for them shaking out?
I think Daniel Jones is going to end up back in Indianapolis. Yep. And obviously it's going to take him some time before he's himself. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they give him a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. Let's year 1 be a healing year, and after that, and then because he's getting basically a healing year, I would expect that to come in a little bit lower than the value we would have expected had he not gotten hurt. So I think Daniel Jones is going to be back with Indianapolis. Malik Willis is the more interesting one to me because 1,000% we just saw him run through a lot of different defenses, looking much better than any of us thought that he could. Truly a dual threat in the way he approaches the game. Problem is he is by far the best option, and there isn't another one, right? So to your point, what happens, for example, if Matthew Stafford decides he wants to hang it up? If he wants to hang it up, does Sean McVay make a call to Malik Willis, right? Like, I know that that's not necessarily his type of quarterback, but my God, you got to wonder as you start to look around, there are going to be enough teams that need a quarterback. I think the Jets are probably going to wait a year to figure out the quarterback situation, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's a bidding war of sorts for Malik Willis. He's going to end up getting a lot more money than people think. Like, I think he ends up getting a 2-year, 3-year deal, $30 million a year. Like, it's going to be more money than people want for Malik Willis on limited number of snaps. There's just no other quarterback in the market right now, and too many teams that need one for him to just end up not getting overpaid when he hits free agency.
Jason Fitz, Yahoo Sports. Look, we'll talk more about the Super Bowl, when you come on next week. I do want to send you out with this, though. Arthur Smith, now the offensive coordinator in Columbus for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And, we're talking about a lot of NFL fans' reactions to who they name as their head coach. Buckeye fans having very mixed reactions about Arthur Smith as the OC over in Columbus. And my reaction to this was, I had the same feeling too, where I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. But to be fair, I said the same thing about Patricia last year, and that seemed to work out pretty well. I mean, for Ryan Day to have a staff that has Arthur Smith calling your offense and Patricia on the defensive side, I mean, that's a loaded coaching staff. And really, this is what we saw a lot from Nick Saban in Alabama throughout, his little dynasty type run as well. NFL coaches coming in, re-energizing themselves before they bounce elsewhere. How do you feel about Arthur Smith as the OC in Columbus?
I just don't. I don't love Arthur Smith.
You don't love it. Okay.
Look, I think from a name recognition standpoint, from connections to the NFL, for what it can mean for recruiting, for all of that, I think that's part of the equation here. I just Arthur Smith, and I've covered his career all the way back to when he was an OC for the Tennessee Titans, and people talk about him like he's some great whisperer, but frankly, some players have had better success when they get away from Arthur Smith. Like if we look at Jonnu Smith, the tight end, and everybody said, oh, well, look at the years he had in Miami. He found himself. Now he's going to come to Pittsburgh and do the same thing. He did not update. All right. They're just this, look at that Atlanta offense year in and year out. It was, oh my God, look at these weapons. And part of the reason that Arthur Smith eventually gets fired there as a coach is because they just couldn't take advantage of the chess pieces that they had. And they do have more talent than everybody. And I look at a Pittsburgh offense that certainly didn't have enough talent to win. But when was the last time we looked at it and said, oh, that's wildly creative. Oh, that's different. I get it. Arthur Smith, I just think Arthur Smith's street cred doesn't match the tape on Arthur Smith. And look, I think it'll be interesting to see what he can do when he's playing with better chess pieces than everybody else. Because I do believe when you become the offensive coordinator at Ohio State, you've just won the coaching lottery. You're going to have better players to use than most of your opponents every single week. So I'm interested to see if we see more creativity from there. But you're talking about somebody that just for years we've been screaming at the NFL level, oh, man, Arthur Smith's going to be a cheat code with all these weapons. And then the offense is always bland and meh and mid. So to me, I don't think there's more high. Like it's like 6'7" for kids. Like Arthur Smith is 6'7". Everybody looks around and they laugh and they're like, oh, 6'7". I don't get it. I don't get the any of the credit we're giving Arthur Smith. He's as mid as you can get in my mind for an offensive hire for a team that, frankly, at this point, Ohio State every single year is shooting for national championships. I'll be genuinely interested to see if he can bring the offensive creativity necessary to get that.
Well, there you have it, Buckeye fans. Arthur Smith.
Sorry. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, Buckeye fans. Like, look, the better Big Ten football is, the more interesting my job is. So I hope I'm wrong.
There you go. And it definitely was interesting this year, no doubt. But Jason, you the man. Appreciate you. We'll talk more Super Bowl next week when you come on. But I appreciate your time, and we'll do this again in a week. Thank you.
See you next week, brother.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call or text to jump in on the conversation. We'll pick up with your calls and reaction when we come back.
Tomorrow and Sunday, sunny and 21. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55, but unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $32.99. Plus, receive 2 times O Rewards points. Limits apply. Choose Syntec exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from,
we can be twinsies,
to,
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Arbogast Ford has the low price tire guarantee. Hey, it's Joey here at Arbogast Ford. We offer Goodyear, Cooper, Kelly, Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, General, Continental, Hankook, and other name brand tires at the low price tire guarantee on all makes and models. And ask us about the tire of the month that saves you an additional $30 off the already low price tire guarantee. Call Arbogast Ford today.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
With Progressive Insurance, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big. See if you could save by calling 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or visiting Progressive.com. Again, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE or online at Progressive.com.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
This year's tax changes. Better not get caught snoozing. Miss one deduction, lose thousands. Not amusing.
Big tax changes can mean bigger refunds at Jackson Hewitt. And right now, get $100 just to try us.
Don't worry, tax filers. If money is tight, get $100 from Jackson Hewitt, so you'll sleep better at night.
Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
The Justin Kinner Show. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner back with you here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 937-518-1410, the number to call and jump in on the conversation. That was Jason Fitz, late getting into that conversation due to yesterday not feeling the best as show started, but we're back and rolling. All right, this came out during the conversation with Jason Fitz that I thought was very, very interesting. So Tom Pelissero releases that the NFL informed NFL clubs today that it is projecting a 2026 salary cap in the range of $301 to $305 million per club, according to sources. Now, the reason that that is interesting is because that is a significant jump from the most recent salary cap, which was at $279 million. So to go from 279 to 305, that's almost a $30 million increase. That's massive, especially for teams like Cleveland, who have a quarterback situation where it locks up a good sum of their money, that almost you take the $45 million a year that's fully guaranteed for Deshaun Watson, and you basically subtract 30 from it on this $30 million increase. And that's like, this is why when they were talking about like why it's not a big deal to give quarterbacks money so early is because you roll it over at the beginning. And then as the years go on, you just have to account for the gradual or aggressive increase in salary cap numbers. And that's basically what's happened here. That's also big for Cincinnati, who that's probably going to free up another $30 million for them to put them in that, what we thought was going to be 60 mil, sitting around that 90 mil marker. And that's without releasing players and freeing up money that way, as far as that goes. Here's the thing. If I'm Cincinnati, you're looking at Trey Hendrickson, who ESPN put out a list of their top 50 free agents heading into the season, and there is Trey Hendrickson sitting right there at the top of the list. The NFL basically, by freeing up the salary cap, just gave you the freedom to spend an additional $30 million. Why would you not use that flexibility right there to bring Trey Hendrickson back? I don't know why Bengals fans, you are so quick to wanting to get rid of Trey Hendrickson. It is very strange to me. You have the worst defense in the NFL. And not only do you have the worst defense in the NFL, you have a chance to keep one of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL on your team to help kind of speed up the improvement process. With this increase in the salary cap, that almost is the amount you would need to slap that, you'd have to put a little bit more on it. But you would almost be thinking, okay, you're getting an additional 30 mil from the league to spend here. So now you just got to spend what was 15 mil of the cap last year. That's putting him at about 45. That keeps him in Cincinnati. And now you have the whole remaining cap from last year to go spend and improve this roster. You could do that. You have the quarterback. You have an average offensive line. You have 2 number 1 wide receivers. You have you have one of the top pass rushers in football. I just don't get why the Bengals would not be aggressive in trying to keep Trey Hendrickson. Somebody explain to me why it is necessary for the Bengals to move on from Trey Hendrickson at this point. Beggars can't be choosers. You can't have the worst defense in the NFL and then say that, we're not going to pay Trey Hendrickson. Why would you not? Why would you not? Again, the ESPN put out the list of the top 50 free agents and said Trey Hendrickson is right there at the top. He's number 1. Why would you not go in that direction? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Something else that came out before our conversation with Jason Fitz, and you can clip this. It is fascinating to me, the career trajectory. What in the world? I don't know if you guys can hear that. Can you guys hear that? That is wild. So we have a pack of coyotes. I don't know what is happening. We have a pack of coyotes behind our station. They're in the woods right behind our station. Every once in a while, they go absolutely ape blank, and they are howling and screaming, so they've either attacked something or getting attacked. Yeah, that's a lot going on back there. I'm going to go check it out. I'll be right back. I got to make sure it's not something else. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. I want to pick up with this Joe Flacco conversation when we come back.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places. What you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. From budget to the best. From desks to filing cabinets. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to want to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 Mac Oil Avenue in Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Nothing brings friends and family together on game day like delicious King's Hawaiian sliders. Bring them to the big game table and be the real MVP. Football and King's irresistible Hawaiian sliders. There's nothing like it.
ABS, does that mean always bring snacks? TPMS, does that mean tiny potholes make squeaks? AWD, does that mean all wheels are dancing? No, that's not right. But here's the truth. Carol Wirtz Tire knows the real meanings and will keep your car safe without all the jargon. Carol Wirtz Tire. Tires, service, and tire values you can count on. Find us online at c-wtire.com or talk to a real human at 937-461-5441.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Wow, that was wild. Sorry for my ADD. Like, I had to go out and see what was going on. So we here on East David and Kettering, we have there's a church right next to us. And there's like a very covered wooded area between the church and our radio station. And that wooded area kind of goes back. There's a large open field behind our station. And with the snow that's now fallen, we could see all the tracks, the activity that goes on between what's coming out of those woods in and out. And there's a lot of footprints that are leading to our lot. And we've seen coyotes out here before. There's a ton of them right now. And we just heard they attacked something at one of these houses. And I'm not even mocking that. My wife gets on me all the time because I let my dogs outside by themselves. And she says, stop it. She said, there are coyotes in the area and they are attacking, people's dogs in the area and all this stuff. And sure enough, I think that's what just happened, unfortunately. But yeah, as soon as I went out there, me and Kev's in his office, I just went and we looked out. I'll post this. If you go to the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, I'll post it here shortly. There was 2 huge coyotes in our parking lot making their way back towards that wooded area. Wild, just crazy. Nonetheless, Ann Anderson, Ann, I hope you're well. Ann says they are hungry, searching for something to eat, their way of organizing the pack for a hunt. Love falling to sleep at night listening to them when we were living out west. I occasionally see one and hear one here in Miamisburg, but only one. Yeah, I don't know if you guys could hear in the background because I heard it and I was just moving on. I just wanted to keep going, but then I heard another one and then 2 more. I think there's about 3 or 4 dogs all going once, but I also think I heard something getting attacked too. So that's my other concern. But either way, yeah, I had to go see it for myself, my ADD moment. But I found the dogs in the parking lot. So there you go. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. So I want to clip this. Joe Flacco was just named to the Pro Bowl. The Bengals just released this a little bit ago that Joe Flacco has entered the chat, and the Pro Bowl games logo is popped right up there on the graphic. So Bengals quarterback Joe Flacco has been added to the AFC roster for the 2026 Pro Bowl games. This marks the first career Pro Bowl selection for Joe Flacco. He's an 18-year veteran, or an 18th-year veteran in 2025. Flacco played in 13 total games with 10 starts, completing 251 of his 416 pass attempts, threw for nearly 2,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And, he started the first 4 games over in Cleveland before being acquired by the Bengals, back around early October. And from his first Bengals start in week 6 through the final start in week 12, Flacco ranked second in the NFL in completions. He tied for third in touchdowns, which was 13. From week 6 through week 12, Joe Flacco was statistically the third best quarterback in the National Football League. He had 154 completions. He had 13 touchdowns. All right, he threw for 1,600 yards in that span of weeks. And that was, of course, the 5th most passing yards. He had the 3rd most touchdowns. And again, he had the 2nd most completions. So the 2nd most completions, the 3rd most touchdowns, the 5th most passing yards in that stretch. I mean, that also included a game where he threw for 470 yards against the Bears. He had a 342-yard game, 3 touchdown performance in week 7 over Pittsburgh. Man. So, again, Joe Flacco becomes the 7th quarterback in Bengals history to be named a Pro Bowler. He joins Jamar Chase and T. Higgins as Bengals Pro Bowl selections for the 2025 season. So, again, the 2026 Pro Bowl games will take place on Tuesday, February 3rd in San Francisco, and it will be televised on ESPN. So keep that in mind. Joe Flacco named a Pro Bowler. I'm a big Joe Flacco guy. I thought what he did in Cleveland years ago was phenomenal. I think he was a great story this year for the Bengals. If you go back and listen and watch shows of mine during that stretch, it was probably the nicest about the Bengals I had been, just because I enjoyed watching him. I enjoyed watching a quarterback that made it about the team and not about himself. I'm a big Joe Flacco guy. And I don't think Joe Flacco's done 18 years in the NFL, and he's still playing on a high level. I'm telling you, if you look around the NFL, I'm looking in the NFC right now. The Seahawks, the Niners, the Rams, they all have quarterbacks. The Cardinals have, or I'm looking at the NFC West right now. The Cardinals have Kyler Murray. They might be moving on from Kyler Murray. I don't think Joe Flacco makes sense there, even if they do move on. All right, the Falcons just moved on from Kirk Cousins today. Of course, you have out there a guy who has now coached Joe Flacco and Kevin Stefanski. But I think that, they know who their quarterback is. Joe Flacco wants to go somewhere where he could start and play. Carolina has a quarterback that made the playoffs and looked good in the playoffs this year. The Saints are going into year 2 with their rookie quarterback and Baker's in Tampa. The South is out. You look at the North, Caleb Williams with the Bears. Doing just fine there. The Lions have Jared Goff, the Packers with Jordan Love. The Vikings could be an interesting spot. When you think of Jordan Addison and you think of Justin Jefferson, I think the Vikings, that's a very interesting spot for Joe Flacco if he was to pursue and play a 19th NFL season. Joe Flacco could play. You guys saw it. Joe Flacco could play, man. The Commanders have Jane Daniels. They're fine. The Eagles with Jalen Hurts. The Giants, they have their quarterback, and the Cowboys have Dak. There's really nobody in the West in the NFC that makes sense. There's no teams in the NFC that make sense for Joe Flacco as far as that goes. You look at the AFC East, the Bills, the Patriots, the Jets. The Jets only don't make sense because, yeah, you could throw him in there as quarterback, but Joe Flacco's not going somewhere to play on a bad team. He wants to go somewhere where he could start and compete and win. You're not doing that with the Jets. The Patriots, the Bills, they're fine with quarterback. The Dolphins will be interesting to see what they do with Tua. All right. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Tua. First year of Halfley being their head coach. Again, how competitive are the Dolphins going to be? You have Josh Allen in the Bills. You have the New England Patriots who are in the Super Bowl right now. The NFC is a wild card. The Ravens, you don't know what they are, but you know they're good. The Bengals, you don't know what they are, but you know they have the capability to be good. All right, same thing with the Texans. Same thing with the Colts if they bring back Daniel Jones. Same thing with the Broncos, who are phenomenal when healthy. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers have Justin Herbert, and I love their coaching staff. The Jets, it doesn't make sense to go there. If you are Joe Flacco, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers make all the sense in the world. For one, I think he has an obsession with the AFC North. I think he does. I think Joe Flacco with the Pittsburgh Steelers makes a ton of sense. All right, they're going to have to go get another wide receiver to complement DK Metcalf. I think that's going to be a given. It's the same problems. Anything you say about the Steelers make up the same thing we said the last 5 years you have to say about the team this year. I think that, they went with Russell Wilson 2 years ago, Aaron Rodgers last year. I feel like they could go with Aaron Rodgers again, but I just feel like, it makes sense. I think Joe Flacco is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers right now. If I'm the Steelers, I knock on the door of Joe Flacco. I say, come be our quarterback. Come be our quarterback while we find out what we have, of course, and see what happens, nonetheless. 937-518-1410. You could text into the show if you're a Steelers fan or not, but do you like Joe Flacco in Pittsburgh? Does that make sense? All right, I see Bengals fans saying, no, he said he wants to come back to Cincinnati. The only reason he would come back to Cincinnati is because he has no faith in your fragile quarterback to stay healthy. Cincinnati's not a bad spot. You're not going to go into the season. I mean, you never know with Joe Burrow how soft he is, but Joe Burrow gets hurt every year. He's heading into year 7. There's only one season where he played the entire year without an injury. The odds are in Joe Flacco's favor. Joe Flacco could go to Cincinnati, and Joe Flacco could wait his turn for Joe Burrow to go down. And instead of the Bengals having to throw out a bad backup for a few weeks before they make up their mind, it would just be instantly handed off to Flacco. Cincinnati, okay, he could go back there. I just don't think he is. He wants to be a starter. And I think Pittsburgh makes all the sense in the world. So we'll see what ends up happening. But Pro Bowl quarterback Joe Flacco, he never made the Pro Bowl with the Browns, despite having that phenomenal run and leading into the playoffs a few years ago. But he played at a Pro Bowl level that year. Can you imagine if he would have won a Pro Bowl with Cleveland that year? I mean, former Ravens Pro Bowl quarterback, would have been Browns, but, he didn't get it there. But he's won Pro Bowl. He's gotten a Pro Bowl nod with 2 of the 4 teams in the AFC. That's a pretty cool accomplishment right there. Pretty cool, nonetheless. All right. As I said, too, as well, the news came out a little bit ago that the NFL has, that there's, according to sources, that they are going to increase the salary cap from $271 million to potentially $305 million. All right, that's a $30+ million increase, and that's massive for teams like Cincinnati, who have a lot of holes and issues that they have to address. All right, it seems like before that news, you would be sitting at about $60 million to work with. Now that could be as large as $90 million. You have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think Chase Brown is solid. Okay, I'm not a Chase Brown guy. I think he's solid. As you guys know, I just think I want a running back that's a running back. All right, when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I don't care about Chase Brown's total yardage. I care about what does he bring to the table as a running back. And Cincinnati too often consistently ranks at the bottom in the efficiency and the production from their run game. So I need to see a running back in Cincinnati that is going to be a running back, that is going to be a ground and pound guy, whether it's Nick Chubb to complement Chase Brown. I know you guys think that's crazy, but Nick Chubb signed a 1-year deal last year with Houston. He's available. Nick Chubb is a ground and pound type of running back that I think makes a lot of sense to play alongside Chase Brown, because Nick Chubb can get especially if Chase Brown's your back between the 20s and you have a short yardage back with of course, Nick Chubb in Cincinnati. I think that makes a lot of sense. You guys thought I was crazy years ago. The Ravens ended up getting Derrick Henry. I thought that the Bengals should have went after Derrick Henry. Everyone thought I was crazy for that. I said, no. You don't go get Derrick Henry when you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I'm like, yes, you absolutely do. You absolutely do that. You look at the Eagles, who have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, 2 elite wide receivers. They went out and got Saquon Barkley, and they won a Super Bowl. You look at the Ravens, who have their running game covered with their superstar quarterback, who also picks up a lot of yards on the ground with his legs. They went out and got Derrick Henry, and they're the best running 1-2 punch in the league. I think they need a running back. Of course, every team needs a running back like Derrick Henry. They need a legit ground and pound back. I think Nick Chubb complements Chase Brown perfectly. I don't want Nick Chubb making plays out of the backfield and through the pass game. I just get square shoulders up, hit that line of scrimmage, move the pile, pick up short yardage down and distance wise, and they'll be fine. But I like Nick Chubb in Cincinnati. I think it makes a lot of sense. They have plenty of money to spend to go get some impact players. And I think Cincinnati would be kind of silly to not entertain the idea of keeping Trey Hendrickson. You guys know my take on this. I mean, ESPN put out their rankings, the top 30 or the top 50 free agents this upcoming offseason. Trey Hendrickson's number 1 on their list. And as of right now, he's a Cincinnati Bengal. I think it would be silly to just let him go. I'm not a fan of that idea. Because the AFC North is vulnerable. We could talk about what the Bengals need to do to make the playoffs. How about you just focus on winning the division in what I think is an average division? The Bengals don't have to be elite. They don't have to be great. They just have to win this division. This bad division. It's a bad division. They have to find a way to get it done. And I don't think letting Trey Hendrickson go makes a lot of sense, especially with the increase in the salary cap. You know, the Bengals didn't want to sign him when the salary cap was at $271. Well, it sounds like it's going to be at $305. Find a way to get it done with Trey Hendrickson. He's too good of a pass rusher. I'm changing my tune on that from a year ago because I think the Bengals need to start acting with more urgency. I got into it with the Bengals fan the other day because I said that, and I acknowledge that the ownership for the Browns is bad. I get that. But so is the ownership for the Bengals. And what I said was, if all things are equal, if all things are equal with these being bad, what's the next thing you're looking at? Well, which one has more money? Which one is cash rich? That's the Browns. I'll take a cash rich owner any days. And everyone said, well, what has that got you? It hasn't got the Browns anything, but the Browns will always be in better position to go after something to improve themselves instead of saying, well, we can't take advantage of a window with our elite quarterback because we don't have the money to do it. And that's the Bengals. The Bengals need to find a way to get it done this offseason. There has to be urgency. There has to be aggressiveness. And I think you set the tone with free agency by not dragging it out with Trey Hendrickson. You let everybody know, hey, we thought we were moving on from him, but we're not. We got to attack this division with authority. We got to attack it with aggressiveness. You got Trey Hendrickson. All right, you got to hit on your draft picks. You got to be aggressive in free agency. We'll see what ultimately happens. But, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as far as that goes. Okay, so Jason Fitz, he ranked the AFC North. He said Mike McCarthy comes in at number 1. Zach Taylor comes in at number 2. All right, number 3 on his list, all right, he put, the Browns head coach, who they just hired in Todd Monken, and he said Jesse Minter, the Ravens have the worst coach. So if you rank the coaches in the AFC North, Steelers, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, do you agree? Is Zach Taylor the second best head coach in the AFC North? Is Jesse Minter the worst? Is Mike McCarthy the best? Let's pick up at this when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
The future depends on teachers who are reinventing the classroom and starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
From the Montgomery County Clerk of Court's office, I'm Shannon Crabtree. Join us for Clerk Mike Foley's award-winning Connecting with the Community speaker series, Connecting Citizens to Local Leaders. Join us on Tuesday, February 17th, as Erica Hubler from the Wright Dunbar Business District shares efforts underway to restore this historic and growing corridor. That's Connecting with the Community from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Employment Opportunity Center in the Westtown Shopping Center on West 3rd Street in Dayton. Another example of how Clerk Mike Foley is bringing the courthouse to you.
Save big on everything for your next project. Now at Menards. Breathe easier with Best Air allergen air filters. They trap larger airborne contaminants to keep allergens out of your home, and they last up to 90 days. Save big on all Best Air products at Menards and refresh your home today. View our entire selection of air filtration products on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer and find great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Alice Cooper, LAC's Attic Tour. Saturday, April 25th, Rose Music Center at the Heights. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer returns.
Welcome to my nightmare, 'cause I'm dancing.
Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Presented by MEM Alice Cooper, live.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Have you heard? Bath Creations has moved to their new location and showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton. This gives you even more opportunity to see the incredible amenities and craftsmanship Bath Creation offers. With Bath Creations, you get a beautiful, modern bathroom that is safe, comfortable, and affordable. Attention first responders, veterans, and active military. Save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or online at mybathcreations.com and get a new bath today.
Coming this winter, a deal so epic, so huge, so famous, you'll have to taste it to believe it. The Homestyle Bowl Combo. Affordability strikes back, starring famous chicken, melty cheese, sweet corn, mashed potatoes, and rich gravy. The Homestyle Bowl Combo with a regular drink. Now playing for just $4.99 at a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken near you. Famous for a reason.
You can make the decision right now to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees or shoulder. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. The future of pain treatment has arrived, and QC has tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. If this is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on your calendar today. Call 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
KTH Parts Industries in St. Paris is now hiring and has increased the hourly wage of $22.48. That's right. KTH is looking for elite production associates, including press operators, overhead crane operators, and forklift operators. Apply today. KTH offers excellent benefits, including medical, dental, and 401k. KTH is a short drive from Bellefonte, Troy, Piqua, and Urbana. Upgrade your career and be valued by a company that really cares about you. Apply now at kth.net, an equal opportunity employer.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
All right, and we are back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. So Jay Leno is going to be at Hobart Arena on February 5th. And we have some tickets that we're giving away. So if you want a chance to go see Jay Leno at Hobart Arena on February 5th, text comedy to 937-518-1410. Text comedy to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win some tickets to see Jay Leno live at Hobart Arena coming up on February 5th. Moving forward, the Justin Kinner Show will be your exclusive listening window to win some of the top tickets to some of the top concerts in Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati. We're going to be getting some tickets to Bruno Mars and some other big concerts in the area. So make sure you're listening, and I'll tell you how you can win tickets on the daily when tuning into the show. Appreciate that nonetheless. So one more time, Jay Leno at Hobart Arena on February 5th coming up next week. So 937-518-1410. Text comedy for your chance to win some tickets. All right, we welcome you back. So Jason Fitz joined us earlier on the show, and he ranked the AFC North as far as the coaches are concerned. And he believes that when you look at the AFC North, Mike McCarthy's number one. All right, you have to put Zach Taylor at number two. Todd Monken, head coach of the Browns, comes in at 3, and Jesse Minter at number 4. Now, he had his various reasons for it. And I started thinking, how would I rank the AFC North when it comes to quarterbacks? And I kind of shake it out like this. Like, I would put it very similarly to how, Jason Fitz kind of, unraveled his. I think Mike McCarthy's the best coach in the AFC North. I think Mike McCarthy, as I opened up the show with, is one of the most disrespected coaches in the entire NFL. I mean, when you look at the resumes of John Harbaugh and you look at the resumes of Mike Tomlin, when both of those respective coaches just left their respective teams, everyone just thought that was a major, huge, send shockwaves at the NFL that they can't believe those two quality coaches are leaving their franchises, and Harbaugh instantly became the number one sought after free agent. He's won 60+% of his games. All right. He's won 9 playoff games. He's won a Super Bowl. You look at Mike Tomlin, he's won 62% of his games. He has, 8 playoff wins, and he's won a Super Bowl. Well, you look at Mike McCarthy, he's won 60% of his games. He has 11 playoff wins. He's won a Super Bowl. And I actually think, I honestly believe what Mike McCarthy has that the other two don't. And by the way, Mike McCarthy will never be viewed as better than those two. And I don't even think it's a hill I'm willing to die on. I just am fascinated by how many of you have just kind of dismissed Mike McCarthy. I think he has the most important trait that you need to have success in today's NFL, and it's an offensive mind. I think he's a better offensive mind than Tomlin and Harbaugh, no doubt, and his ability to develop quarterbacks, something Harbaugh is not really known for, and either is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin won because of, obviously, Ben Roethlisberger. And to be fair, he won a lot of games post Ben Roethlisberger, but never really elevated the Steelers to anything other than just a solid, good team, which as a Browns fan, I would kill for a coach that could make them a solid, good team. But there's levels to this. There's steps to this, and they stopped stepping up after a certain period of time in the Mike Tomlin era. I'm a Mike McCarthy guy. I think the Steelers have the top coach in the division. I have Zach Taylor at 2. I think Zach Taylor, honestly, is a very underappreciated coach as well. I mean, it's fascinating to me for people that say Zach Taylor's only good because of Joe Burrow. I think that's one of the most laziest sports takes you can have. Andy Reid was only good because he had Donovan McNabb, and he's only good because he has Patrick Mahomes. You take both of them away, Andy Reid's not even being viewed as a top coach in NFL history. Bill Belichick has been in the news a lot this week because, I mean, my God, he should have been a shoo-in as a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He just won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is insane. But the bottom line is you take Tom Brady away from his career. I'm not saying he would never win the Super Bowl, but he definitely doesn't win the 7 or 6 that he did. So you have to have a good quarterback to win in the National Football League. So saying that Zach Taylor is only good because of Joe Burrow is beyond lazy to me. Zach Taylor, when he has his quarterback, when Joe Burrow is healthy, this team puts up numbers in stupid amounts, and they win games. They go to AFC Championship games. They get to Super Bowls. I have to put him at number 2. I'm going to put Todd Monken in at number 3 because I do think Jesse Minter is the worst head coach in the division as of right now. Jesse Minter has the least experience of everyone else above. Todd Monken is also a first-year head coach, but he's been around a hell of a lot longer than Jesse Minter. And again, Todd Monken is an offensive mind, and I think that matters in today's NFL more than it ever has. And I think that's what I have to give Todd Monken the nod for. He's older, more experienced, and I don't think he doesn't have to learn the game. I still think Jesse Minter is learning how to coach in the NFL. I don't think Todd Monken's learning how to coach in the NFL. He's a head coach now. They hired an offensive coordinator today, but he's still going to be heavily involved in the offensive side of the ball. I think Todd Monken comes in at number 3 on the list. And I put Jesse Minter at the bottom, and it's not really a shot at Jesse Minter. We just don't know who he is. And I don't think it was a great hire for the Ravens. I think, you have Lamar Jackson. I think that's a very underwhelming hire. I do. I think if you're the Ravens and you have Lamar Jackson, you should have done everything in your power to get Mike McDaniel. You have Lamar Jackson. I think you should have done everything in your power to get a Mike McCarthy. I think that you should have got an offensive-minded head coach. It does not make sense to go the route that they did. And I think it's going to blow up in their face when it's all said and done. I'm not a fan of the Jesse Minter hire for Baltimore. I actually think that's a worse hire for them than Todd Monken for the Browns. Todd Monken is going to do more for them as an offensive guy than Jesse Minter will for the Ravens. So we'll see what happens. All right. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. You can also call into the show. I told you how you could win tickets to see Jay Leno a little bit ago, so make sure you text comedy to 937-518-1410. Jay Leno going to be at Hobart Arena coming up next week. College basketball. We are Dayton's radio home for Wright State basketball. Wright State on the road. The last time we saw Wright State on the court was last Saturday when they won 88-80. Over Northern Kentucky. Now, they took care of business against Northern Kentucky, coming off of a very tough loss against Cleveland State. Cleveland State's a bad team. Cleveland State had not won a road game all season. Cleveland State went to the Nutter Center last week and pulled off a win. Now, I said it wasn't going to surprise me if Wright State lost that game because it was the ultimate trap game. You have the Wright State at the time had won 7 straight. You had your rival with Northern Kentucky coming up that Saturday, and you have one of the worst teams in the league coming to your house in the middle of the week. That was the ultimate example of a trap game. You're overlooking them because the team and the game that you care about more is coming up after. How are you going to match that intensity that you're going to have on Saturday for that matchup on Wednesday? And they came out flat, and they weren't able to dig themselves out. They got rolling a little bit towards the end. They ultimately lost to Cleveland State. And I was curious. I'm like, okay, maybe that 7-game win streak was just a flash in the pan and they're going to come down to earth. And then we saw against Northern Kentucky, one of the top teams in the league, that they didn't have enough to hang with Wright State. Wright State took it to them. And again, they're 8-2 sitting atop the league by themselves. And they're on the road tonight at Milwaukee. Now, they've beaten Milwaukee before. They beat up in Milwaukee. When you came into the season, the preseason polls had come out, and Oakland and Milwaukee were the favorites to win the league. Well, Wright State's they've beat Oakland twice. They pummeled Oakland twice, who was supposed to win the league. Milwaukee, who was supposed to come in second, they ended up winning at the Nutter Center a few weeks ago, 76-70, but they were up double digits in that game as well. Like, they've been pummeling all the top teams in the conference, and they're going to have a chance tonight on the return game against Milwaukee here later on tonight. That's going to be an 8 o'clock tip-off, 7:45 pregame coverage begins. Adam Campbell will have your pre and half and postgame coverage, and Chris Collins and Jim Brown will have the call later on tonight, 8 o'clock the tip-off, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and our sister station, 1015 The Fridge. The Dayton Flyers are also going to be in action tonight, and they're going to be on the road at St. Louis. And things have unraveled in a hurry. I've always been viewed as an anti-UD guy. I've never viewed myself as anti-UD. I've just been very realistic, and that's something that passionate fan bases have a hard time dealing with and accepting. I've never drank the Kool-Aid. I've always found Dayton to be a little bit overrated throughout the Anthony Grant era, outside for the 2020 season, of course. I've always found them to be very overrated. And not because I'm taking shots at them or because I'm trying to stir the pot. I just think that this team consistently underachieves. And, you tip off the season in November and December, and they hang in there with North Carolina. You've beat Kansas in this era of the Anthony Grant era. You've beat Kansas. You've beat Michigan State. You've beat up on Georgia. You beat at the time the number 1 or number 2 team in the country in UConn, who would finish at number 6 last year. Marquette, the number 2 team in the country, you beat them last year. And then this year in November and December again, you destroy Florida State. You beat Marquette once again. Like you have in BYU is one of the top teams in the country. You were right there with them at the beginning of the season. This team looked the part in November and December I should say in November and most of December until the tail end when they lost to Liberty to snap their long home game losing streak. And now they have a few losses at home. We're not used to watching this team lose at home. They're losing at home now. And they had a horrific loss against Rhode Island just the other night. Dayton, after winning 5 straight to tip off conference play in the A-10, they were tied with St. Louis, who, by the way, St. Louis is 20-1. They're 8-0 in A-10 play. St. Louis, to me, this is the best A-10 team since the 2020 Dayton Flyers team. St. Louis is really good. Dayton started out 5-0 along with St. Louis and along with George Mason. Dayton looked like one of those, okay, yeah, they picked up some losses, but they always challenge themselves in the non-con. I don't really care about that. They actually got a lot of big premier wins in the non-con. With a lot of quad 1 and quad 2 games coming up, they could play their way right back into the at-large conversation. We knew they were going to have 2 with St. Louis. They were going to have George Mason, who's a big one as well. They have VCU. They had a lot of quad 1 and quad 2 opportunities coming up. All Dayton had to do after your fan base tried to convince everybody that this team deserves to be in the Big East, all you have to do is play like you deserve to be in the Big East and go be better than everybody else in the A-10. And not only have they lost 3 straight, they've lost 3 straight to teams they have no business losing to. There's no shame in losing to St. Louis tonight. There's no shame in losing to George Mason here in a few weeks. There's no shame in splitting with VCU throughout the season. There is shame with losing to LaSalle. There is shame when you lose at home against Rhode Island after having a double-digit lead in the first half. St. Joe's winning record, they're okay. There's shame in losing to St. Joe's. There's shame in losing to LaSalle. And there's shame in losing, as I mentioned, to Rhode Island. And Archie Miller, your former coach, who has failed ever since leaving Dayton, by the way. He failed at Indiana, and he has yet to show that he could turn things around at Rhode Island. Now, to be fair, they are playing really good basketball right now, but that's besides the point. I've always said my problem with Anthony Grant-led teams is they have no problem playing up to the level of their competition. The Anthony Grant era, the biggest problem with Anthony Grant basketball is they have always consistently played down to the level of their opponent, and I've had a problem with that. That's dangerous when you play in the A-10. When you think, because, again, everyone's been brainwashed to thinking that this team deserves to be in the Big East. The fans believe it. The administration believes it, and the players believe it. So what happens is when you play Big East teams, you play inspired basketball. When you play Power 4 teams, you play inspired basketball. When you have to roll in the dirt with the little Weasley A-10 teams, you take your foot off the gas. You think you're too good for that. That's Dayton's biggest problem is they think they're too good for everybody, and that's why they struggle in the A-10 at times is because, it's just Loyola. And then you're holding on for dear life against one of the worst teams in college basketball. Oh, it's just Rhode Island. It's just St. Joe's. It's just LaSalle. And I agree with you. It is just Rhode Island. It is just St. Joe's. It is just LaSalle. But you know what it also is it's just Anthony Grant basketball. Because you know what it's easy to do? Hey, guys, we got UConn tonight. Let's go. whose players run through a brick wall. I mean, Anthony Grant always does a great job. He has his team ready to go. They're really willing to run through a brick wall for him. No, they're just playing inspired basketball because they're playing a good team in UConn. And they're playing, a brand, Florida State's not very good, but it's still the brand of Florida State, so you ran them off the floor. Oh, you're playing, Marquette. Oh, man, that's a Big East team. It's a well-respected Big East team. Let's go, baby. Right? Oh, it's BYU, one of the top teams in the country, a chance to make a statement. Let's go out there and make a statement. And to Anthony Grant and the Flyers' credit, they did. But this is the problem. They play down to the level of their opponent. You want to know what made Archie Miller so great? Is they never played down to the level of their opponent. And I'm not saying they never had an off night. That's not what I'm saying. There's no such thing as a coach who has never had an off night. But what made Archie Miller teams great was the fact that they treated the A-10 the way they treated the Ohio States and the Syracuses and the Floridas of the world. They played up to their competition, and they played above their lower competition. That's what made Archie Miller teams great. That's why they won the A-10 in the regular season. That's why they won 5 NCAA tournament games. That's why they made it to an Elite Eight. Because every game was war for them in the regular season under Archie Miller. They didn't play down to the level of their opponent when they played for Archie Miller. They played down to the level of their opponent for Anthony Grant. So here's what's going to happen tonight. Dayton tonight, they are a 9.5-point dog. They are a 9.5-point dog at St. Louis tonight. Based on what we just discussed, Dayton is going to, at the very least, cover, but I'm going to go that extra mile. Dayton's going to win tonight. Dayton can't beat St. Joe's. Dayton can't beat LaSalle on the road. They can't beat St. Joe's on the road. They can't beat a bad Rhode Island team at home when they had a 15-point lead. Because Anthony Grant teams play down to the level of their competition. But you know what they can do? It's easy to play up. And they are playing the number 21 team in the country tonight. They're playing the Billikens, who are 20-1, 8-10 in A-10 play. They are 9.5-point dog. And guess what? They are going to play up to the level of their opponent tonight. Dayton winning will not surprise me. And here's the other thing. Dayton winning tonight will actually probably make Flyer fans more mad than losing. Because if you could go on the road against a team that's only lost once, who is one of the best teams in the country, top 25, okay? If you can go on the road in that environment and beat that team, that's the Anthony Grant era in a nutshell. You compete and beat the teams that I don't want to say shouldn't, but you compete and beat the teams that you would be understanding if they lost, but you can't beat the teams that you should. You should beat LaSalle, St. Joe's, Rhode Island. You should never lose to those teams, and you sure as hell should never lose to them 3 straight. But that's what they've done. Their at-large opportunity, it's gone. It's dead. Is the season over, though? We'll find out tonight. I think you're going to see that the fight still exists in the Flyers. They're going to go out there, and they're going to punch St. Louis in the mouth. They're probably going to win tonight. And if they win tonight, that's more infuriating. I think about how angry you are after those 3 straight losses. Winning tonight is more infuriating than losing those 3 straight. Because how can you go on the road against the number 21 team in the country who's 20-1 and 8-0 in A-10 play? How can you do that? But you can't beat St. Joe's. And you can't beat LaSalle. And you can't beat Rhode Island. But you could do that. Or you lose tonight and you're just showing that the season, it's just free falling. I don't know. I'm fascinated by tonight's game. It's 8 o'clock. It's on CBS Sports Network. Dayton is a 9.5-point dog. That was a double-digit line earlier in the week. I'm fascinated to see what happens, guys. I really am. But like I said, it will not surprise me. Dayton's going to win this tonight. Dayton will win tonight, or they'll lose by a possession or two. But nonetheless, Dayton in action at 8. Wright State is also in action at 8 o'clock tonight. They're on the road at Milwaukee. And we'll have that one for you right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Wright State is a 3.5-point favorite as far as that goes. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Have a great weekend. And until Monday, this has been the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
1410 Wing AM, Dayton's ESPN Radio.